Alright, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of SunnyRedemption Sailing, where I just got an achievement randomly. Oh yeah. Well, now I've just gotten earned an achievement, a Game Pass quest for doing nothing. I mean, I did something a long time ago, but what I was trying to say is this is the podcast where my friend Kevin and I will talk about all sorts of gaming, technology, and other topics. So, usually in order to have these kinds of discussions, we end up playing Sea of Thieves. Thank you for joining the stream, Moneybag. Anyway, so... Alright. So, anyway, today I touched a rough draft of the future because I played with the Apple Vision Pro for about half an hour in the afternoon. I got in... They said it was first come, first serve, so I literally just went first come, first serve. Apparently people were booking appointments in the morning, and that's why, I didn't realize there was a booking, though, and that I could have done it online, because the email literally told me that this was not the case. Sometimes neurodivergence is really fun. Anyway, so I got my demo at 3:30, but it was a demo of waiting in line for about half an hour, because people went over. Anyway, so, shall we place a quest to sail to? Maybe not the seaports until later. Something a little bit more low-key, perhaps. Sure. Okay, sounds like a plan. Let's go. So yeah, basically I finally got in around 4 o'clock. And where to even begin? It's hard to describe unless you've actually been in it. So I'm gonna try to get as many of my friends to try it as possible just because it's really fun to use. It's just a fun experience using this thing. Like, I remember the original iPad. I didn't like it, but then once I actually had it, it was fun to use because, well, it was a bigger iPod Touch, and that's all it needed to be. This is an infinite iPad right now, and it depends on what you actually think about that when it comes to whether that's of good value for you, because... Like, I could see the argument being a little bit better if, you had a Mac. I do not. I have a Windows PC. I gotta get the,
Good day. You sailed my
supply
way.
shop. Okay, so... Anyway. It is very first gen. Because... I had missed inputs a lot of the time. Well, maybe not a lot of the time, but like, oh, well, I was actually I thought I was looking at this, but I actually wasn't. And I clicked on the wrong thing with the tap gesture. But they did have a lot of accessibility options. Like, being able to just slowly push your finger in any direction until one finger. If you were looking at something. They called that delve. The only problem was that the delve stuff got incredibly annoying because the thing was always in front of me, whether I shoved it aside or not. The headset also, I had to reset it once during the demo, and then the demo updated. Okay, we can dive to the quest. That's a new feature that they have in Sea of Thieves for those who don't know. Especially those of you on PS. Yeah, essentially, and this is gonna make this game so much easier to get into for all the new people that are gonna get into it on PS5. But speaking of gaming, okay, so I actually did get to try out some games, which I didn't think I would be able to. Two, to be precise. Alto's Adventure. Quite possibly one of the best iOS games ever made, in terms of just, like, vibes, at least. And then Smash Hit, which is, like, you shoot balls at glass and try not to run out of balls. Both games were very addicting to me back in the day, when they came out on my iPad 3, I want to say? Maybe. But I think I got Alto's Adventure lately, and if I just want to play Alto's Adventure, then I can just get it on Xbox. I mean, I have it on Xbox. What am I saying? But, like, I played Alto's Adventure in the air. And that was pretty cool. Like, I pinched to tap, to jump. Because this game is so simple, it is something that is very intuitive. And so once you get the pinch gesture is the same as tapping, those games kind of are part of the argument. You can run these, maybe even multiple at the same time because of how powerful the M2 chip is. Since most iPads currently are running M2, it makes sense why a lot of the apps are iPad apps. It's the same reason that when the iPad... Thank you for joining the stream, by the way, Lola. When the iPad started, it was pretty much just touch a button and your phone app blew up twice. Because, well, it's Apple's attempt to solve the chicken and egg problem when it comes to software. Because Netflix and YouTube are like, no, actually go F yourselves, Apple. So there is kind of a dearth of software right now, which is a problem. Most of it is iPad apps. But the fact that you can move the iPad apps and, like, throw them around, and that changes a lot of things. Like, I saw an app called Yumly that, like, has recipes that I can float in real life. And I saw a, probably in the Wall Street Journal review by Joanna Stern, because she did a great job of actually, while being hilarious, everybody who is interested in this project, even if just curious, should go check it out. She had multiple timers going on multiple pots in the real world. She was cooking in what they like to call spatial computing, but it's really just virtual reality with a really, really good pass-through camera. Because that's the other thing. This camera is amazing. It still looked like a video, but it was really good video. Maybe a little lower frame rate, and there was some warping on objects that I looked at too quickly. Like, I saw another Vision Pro on a wooden tray, like it was like Victorian times, and they were like, "Your technology, sir." But like, I really enjoyed it. I like the sensation of technology being overlaid on the real world. This is what augmented reality is supposed to be, but now it's in a device that somebody will buy, because holy shit, that price. Ugh. Well, it's actually a good thing because... Oh, sorry, no, keep going. No. This is a mission statement. This is what we want to do now. We want to basically kill the iPad and, subserve the Mac to this thing, and... Oh, wait a minute. Looks like there is a mermaid statue that we can go blow up. It's blue, by the way, so that should be easy. Oh, and for those who don't know, leveling is back. Like, now you can go up to 100, and you can prestige in Sea of Thieves like it's freaking Call of Duty or something. So, you can just start over again with, what did you say it was? Like probably an experience bonus if I have. Oh, for your fingers and cosmetic things. I thought it was like a rain around your icon, which that would... when you explained it to me last time. That was slightly confusing, but that's okay. Not your fault. Anyway, so, like, okay, let me just blow this guy up. Or slash a ghost. Though, I just saw an episode of Delicious in Dungeon. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but, like, since you like JRPGs so much, and Dragon Quest in particular, I think you'll find that show very funny if you are able to watch it on Netflix. It is really good, and they actually have a really funny... They have a really funny, but also clever mythology around ghosts. That I just saw. Is there another mermaid statue? We're gonna be rich. Yeah, let's see. I'm gonna try seeing... I think we could do it. Let me just trade out all my fire bombs. Of course. But yeah, like, okay, so... I've replaced all my stuff with plunder bombs, and I think I have enough food. 3 bananas should be okay. It's green. If it was, like, red, then I'd be like, you know what, actually, let's find an exploding barrel and then use that to blow it up. But I'm being pretty aggressive here. I think we've got it. Okay, well, I still have 2 bullets, so we can take on the shark. And you're dead. Well, my guy's starting to drown, but that's okay. I have bananas. Because it's a scientifically proven fact that eating bananas underwater cures drowning. Okay, so you were able to pick up the... Oh wait, no, it's there. Well, I'm trying to look for the shark, because you know me, I like to grill stuff. Okay, if you could grab that, because I can't, then I'll grab the mermaid gem. Oh! We are cooking with gas! We haven't even done 1 island, and we already have all this... reputation stuff. The emissary level. Anyway. Oh, well, we should probably hide this on the second... on the whole level. Anyway, so, back to the Apple Vision Pro stuff. It was a really fun world, like I said. Again, the accessibility options were pretty good, though I didn't get to review them all, but they cover things like vision, motor, cognitive. Thank you for your compliment there, KGH. Kevin can't see your comments, but I'll relay them to him. And I'm glad that you appreciate by saying fire, because fire is what we are using to cook this shark. Okay, so... I don't think we've even dug up the treasure chests, really. Right. Then just the world in general. Though... Oh, man! There's a gunpowder barrel! We could have really used that! Oh well. We can sell it if we have a chance. Or just use it to blow up people. But, like, the video that I made about our adventures in Explosion Town at the Seafort got, like, 370 views, 70 views, which is pretty good. And it's an average video for me. But, like, I set it to the Driftvale City music, which I thought you also might like. Not just because it's trendy, but because I discovered that Driftvale City is really good, in terms of music for video games, which I listen to a lot. Pokemon, what is it? Black and White? Yeah. Okay, this is just for people who don't know. Anyway. So the other game I tried was Smash Hit. And looking at the crystals that I was throwing the balls at and tabbing them, most of the time worked. I think the delve conflicted a little bit, which is an optimization problem that has not been solved by Apple yet. But, you know, it's literally, they just said, please click a button and that will port your app for you. Because again, it's just, the iPad has the M2. It can do the iPad. You know, rather than having to manually review everything, because, again, they don't want to have the feeling of an empty storefront. They said about 600 apps. Which is fine. It's not the worst launch catalog in the world for a device. But I didn't get to see any of them, because the demoing system was mostly focused on the general idea, which is fine. I really liked just using the open web and just web browsing, because I had a giant computer monitor with a giant web browser. That was pretty cool. But a computer without games for $3,500? I mean, even if it is to your face, like, they said, that, like, they showed off Synth Riders, which is a VR game, but if I wanted to play a bunch, the problem is that, VR always tends to be a little bit clunky and heavy for me. Thank you for joining the stream, by the way. So, like, I have my PSVR 2 on my shelf now. I probably would have still used it if my PS5 hadn't died. Like, it literally just died, no video. Maybe I was using it wrong in vertical mode because the thermal paste might have melted. Apparently it was a simple fix, or so people told me, but I just didn't want to bother. However, the PSVR 2 has a good game lineup, but, like, nothing heavy hitting. But it does the one thing, so you expect it to do it great. Here, there's also Game Room, which apparently has multiplayer, though they didn't know how it works, the Apple people, because nobody had tried it because the Game Room wasn't in the demo. Like, if you want to give me an idea of this being an augmented reality device, then have some augmented reality games. Like, they're trying that with the Quest 3 for $500, but most of the games, except for here, Board Game on Table, is pretty much just VR games. Which, again, are fine, but I wanted to know, like, how do you share this? Is it that you play it with your friends on their iPhones? Do you have to have multiple Vision Pros that are looking at the same table? Because, like, that would be an interesting use case for, like, nerds with too much money. You know? Oh, we don't have to bring in pieces and such. We can just put board games that we like on the table, and we're all looking at them for a few hours. That was what I was waiting for, that, like, magic use case for eventually when I have a bunch of money to burn. Because, again, the fucking price. And that's for the 256GB version. Not the 512. Which is like $36.99. And then the 1TB is $38.99. The problem is, there's not going to be a lot to download. Unless you like playing with iPads. Because, like, all I got to try out was a little bit of, like, the preloaded Dinosaurs demo is pretty cool. It lasts 5 minutes. I mean, it's a cool thing to show off in guest mode, but apparently that's a fiddly mess. Again, I had the missed clicks, and if I ever shared this device with my mom, which I would just be like, hey, let's go and have fun with the demo. Because it is a really fun demo, when it works. She would be like, oh, I clicked the wrong thing. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I now back at home. The top button the top button confused me because it was on the left, and my brain, which is right-handed, immediately thinks of going to the right, and then Digital Crown accidentally pressed home. But actually, the Digital Crown didn't work for a few tries. That demo software was kind of weird. And again, they did update it in the middle of my demo. Because apparently they were just like, push this thing out now, we have to fix this, and also add the dinosaur demo. But, like, the crowds weren't too unmanageable, so it seemed to download okay from Apple's servers. Usually the store is congested if there's a big event, and that means that Wi-Fi just stinks on ice. But, like... Okay, I gotta go get the, Now that I'm not being distracted by a freaking rowboat, I'm gonna try and help you with the other chest. Yeah. For those who don't know, Kevin's usually the treasure finder in our group, and usually when I'm... Because of the fact that we're 2 people on a 2-person ship, whenever I'm on his ship, he's my navigator, or whenever I'm on his ship, I'm his navigator, and then when he's on my ship, he's my navigator. That just is how that works, and usually that, means that just because he's played this game longer, and more often by himself, which scares the ever-loving S out of me, right. And I also would not know pretty much anything or have much interest in really delving into the game without his help, because of the fact that we've pretty much been playing since shortly after launch, because I did try to play with a few other people, but they would eventually get frustrated and quit. You did not quit. Like, play a lot... I'm more of a play a lot of games a little bit at a time kind of person, because, well, I have other things to do, usually, than play giant JRPGs, although I am really liking, Yakuza, like, Dragon, Infinite Wealth. These names are confusing. My brain always goes to Yakuza Like a Dragon, because that was the best, yeah, exactly. That was the only one that I finished. I tried a little bit of the others, but the clunky melee combat just threw me off. I don't like. Anyway, so, but that was the best launch game of the Xbox Series X, and that showed what it could do. Because what it did was quick resume, and I needed that. I needed to be able to be like, nope, game, I am done with you right now. There is somebody who wants to have dinner with me, or, you know, some other thing that I have to do, and you just have to go to the side now. Doesn't mean I don't love you. I'll be back later. That's part of the reason I was starting to lose interest in my PS5, even though I had a lot of good games with it. Because Xbox needs to sell its feature set better. Right. Right. But the problem is that, oh yeah, it can so break sometimes. I've played Immortals of Avium after a quick resume, and it hung at 0 FPS for like 5 seconds at a time sometimes. Because it was that game is an absolute memory hog with how many CPU-heavy explosions are there, and it was just weird about that. So I had to hard quit the game every time in order to get normal, stable frame rates. I don't understand what this means, but like, what I do know is that the fact that consoles are more like PCs may not have been entirely a good thing. Because, well, sometimes we get bad PC ports. It's... Right. But I see the frustration, because I want my games to just work, and the just work part of consoles hasn't worked for a while. But on the other hand, 120 FPS is my counter-argument to that. When it's like, oh my god, the experience of playing games is just so much better, and it's on a giant TV, and I have 120 FPS. Well, that is what's been happening. Oh, yeah. Well. Well, some... Well, plenty do. Awesome. Right. People like to turn these settings on and off. You know, like accessibility. Which is very helpful sometimes. I like that I can just push a button and QTE's over. Because QTEs are still there and they're over. Right. Yeah, but most of these... graphics options that I've seen are pretty binary. And the entire, like, select 3 options thing, yeah, it might be complicated for some people. And I don't want to disregard that there may be a cognitive load issue for some neurodivergent people. Because I am one myself. And sometimes these things can get confusing. But, on the other hand, like, most of these things are... I want to turn them off. I'm glad I have the option to turn them off. Like motion blur, chromatic aberration, film grain. None of these things really I care about because I like my games to play well. And motion blur can be really good if you're masking 30 FPS, but if you have 60 or even 120 FPS, the game just takes care of itself. And the games just play better. So it's the thing is with this generation is that it's been a combination of a lot of improvements, a lot of little improvements that have added up pretty big due to, like, multiplication of you know, less friction points. On the other hand, there hasn't been a really special game for this gen yet, because a lot of it is that the franchises that have been around forever have stuck to the same formulas. And they're just doing more of the formula. Like, GTA 6 is gonna be great, because it'll be more GTA. It'll be bigger world, more crowds. Rather than, okay, what is this new thing that this gen, only this gen can do? Because again, every game eventually goes to PC, and you have to configure for more options, but having, like, special sauce that consoles only do makes it hard to make these games portable. For instance, on Steam Deck. Or on Nintendo Switch. Like, yeah. Yeah, PC has won. We just have... There is no more race between PCs and consoles. PCs just have such a huge user base, especially due to the rise of handheld PCs that are as powerful as, like, a PS4. That the consoles are like, fine, you win. Just take our games. You know, like, we will get a bunch of money that then helps ease the cost of development. Oh, by the way, yes, thanks. And so, like, then what happens is you end up having a problem where, if these boxes are not special anymore, why should I care? Why should I care that this one doesn't have a disk drive, or that one is cylindrical? Because I'll just wait for the next one, or just keep my old thing and do the cloud. And that's great for people, for sure. Like, Right, yeah. My fucking laptop cannot run. Sorry, yeah, no. That makes sense. It is still expensive. It's just that because these are now PC ports of games, they come with PC port problems. Usually. doubt it. Ugh. That... Right, well... But there are PCs now that are cheaper than consoles. Even though Valve is taking a painful cut, like a to-the-bone cutting, in order to sell to Steam Decks, Steam is relevant again, because people can play Steam on the go, and that's a pretty big competitive threat. AI and DLSS is going to be the great equalizer, because, well, it already has been. But on the other hand, while the consoles can make their graphics look better with less performance costs by using DLSS, the lower-end competitors that are pressuring them on price mean that, like, in order to reach mass market, because of DLSS as well, meaning that in order to have mass market adoption, consoles still need to be at least somewhat affordable. Microsoft is doing this because they are literally worth $3 trillion and they do not care. Oh, yep. I still can't get over that they had a plan to include Kinect for $2.99. And they didn't stick to that. Why? They could have taken a massive loss, sure, but they also would have 100 million Xbox Ones. Ugh. Yeah, I think it'll be like $5.50 digital, $6.50 disc. Right, because they have the base already. This is just a niche device. Adjusted for inflation, I believe the PS4 Pro would have launched at $600 today. So part of it is that you're... Technically, this is what it should be, is the argument. Like, games should be $70. The problem is that then people, because of immediate price concerns, are just getting digital consoles. And that's where they are like, okay, we're gonna get our mass market adoption, and then we're gonna trap people into buying bigger and bigger games for no reason, with no options, with no freedom. That's what scares me, because, like, then people are pressured into subscription services where the games can be taken away at any time. I mean, digital purchases are not much better, but at least the current companies. Yeah, that's the paradox. Yeah, well, I would... Well, Game Pass is different, you know? Right, obviously. No, that's true. But if the... That would probably be... That could probably be justified for some people by being on a cloud gaming service that is very responsive for that game. But on the other hand, consoles are the anchor for the demand right now. Yeah. But, like, okay. Here's my thing. Is that the argument that you're saving money on a digital-only console makes sense on Xbox. Also, if you buy a few games a year, or you are a Game Pass main person. Like, I think my friend Billy buys a couple of games at $20 every once in a while. Not $60 or $70 games. And he's subscribed to Game Pass for the rest. It makes sense. It has MLB The Show. You can just download it with a button. And he pays it at full price because of the convenience. I basically have the hack to get Infinite Game Pass, which is to grind on the treadmill of Microsoft activities until they give me a bunch of points, because they know that I'm a super valuable Xbox customer. But I will also, as I just did with my PS5, sell things to buy games, because I want to buy games, you know? So I would like to still have the option to do that, please. Because if you're going to have digital-only stores take over the world forever, if ownership isn't... if digital purchase isn't ownership, then piracy isn't stealing. I mean, what do you think about that? Like... And it's not being sold either. They're just sitting on it. Because of the guaranteed timing of all of this time, they can just afford to sit on their IPs forever until they're eventually like, oh, okay, our copyright's about to expire, let's renew it. Like, that's just stupid to me. I'm an author who wants to sell my work, and I do not want 75-year copyrights. Because we're all probably gonna die before I'm 75, let alone 75 years from now. I'm literally doing, right now, cooking a shared world. Specifically to not be holding on to that forever. Because what people are realizing now is that when culture is shared, culture multiplies. You know, like, look at Steamboat Willie. It just shadow dropped a game today. Today, on the Xbox Store. It's a crappy Cuphead ripoff. But it's $5 and you can make a game if you want to. Yeah, but on the other hand... On the counter-argument... I'll steal it! No one will ever know! From the cartoon The Dover Boys. This cartoon was made in... Let's see, what's the history according to Wikipedia? Just quickly. It was made in 1942 and is a parody of the Rover Boys from 1899 to 1926. It has gained relevance precisely because it is in the public domain, and because people can freely make content about it. I'll steal it! No one will ever know! Is an amazing line, and I would never have heard of it if I hadn't been able to watch it. It's just up on YouTube. You can watch the entire thing right now. You can watch several people reanimating it according to their own animation styles. You can see, like, echoes. You can see all sorts of, like, just interesting works of it. And this is for something that was made in 1942 that was not Disney or Looney Tunes, which were the juggernauts back then. But now it's something that will live forever because it's a meme. And that's something special to me, I think. Because it's like, well, you know what? I don't need to be earning money forever for greedy estates that have to sue everybody in order to maintain a hold on a copyright. When I'm dead, I don't care. As long as, like, my sister's family, because she probably will have a family, I don't think I will, benefits to some degree. Like, when I'm dead, you can make whatever you want of my stuff. You can make whatever commentary videos you want about it. Now, I will respect all opinions in life. And from the afterlife, if I'm looking down at you and being like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe your video's wrong. Then I'll haunt you. Rather than trying to have my estate sue you. That's my stance. You can quote me on that, internet. I will haunt you if you make a bad opinion video after I'm dead. But I'll be nice about it. But like Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, a lot of it is just crappy horror stuff, but like people need to make a lot of crap sometimes before they make good stuff. I mean, not everybody can be super consistent, like, say, Scott the Woz, which, how does he do it? The man is a wizard. Every Scott the Woz episode ever is like, really good. But anyway. But, like, with Nintendo holding on to all their stuff, I just don't like that for some... I don't like them anymore for some reason. They have great games, but I'm like, well... Ugh. If they're just like, we're gonna sit on our stuff forever and make it when we feel like it. Well, then what are you doing, like, taking down people's, I don't know, emulators? Like, you're not selling the game. Yeah. But this is also the age. This is also the age of fuck you, pay me in technology. Because essentially what we have here that's a problem is I control the environment, I control all the inputs, and now you have to give me money. Apple is finally being forced to open up everywhere cloud streaming apps. That's some competition to the App Store. But the App Store is still the delivery mechanism, and they still dictate the terms of the engagement. Because the App Store has the audience. What are you going to do? Like, Microsoft has to make a Game Pass app now. They've been doing okay with the growth that they've had, but iOS will explode everything. They need that. Yeah. No, yeah, because they're trying to tamp down competition concerns. That's the only reason that they're doing any of this stuff. But the thing is that because of the fact that they have this captive audience, they're essentially strangling Microsoft's probably prematurely announced mobile game store in its crib. Like, there is no way that Microsoft makes a game store now, because they would have to do it on the web. Unless what happens in the EU happens here, and you're allowed to sideload. Which, I used to see the argument against it, because at the time, iOS was inhabited by grandmas and babies. Like, of course it was a good idea to protect your grandma from downloading malware from the internet. But on the other hand now, most people who use iPhones that cost $1,000 and actually bother upgrading are very technical people like me. I mean, I may have been a novice at this kind of thing once upon a time, but I'm older now. I should be able to make the decisions, right? And one of the reasons... Right. And one of the reasons that Google lost the case to Epic was because they had that option at all. If they had been closed down, apparently they would have won in federal court? What? I don't understand. But, this is so cool. Ash and Kane's Bounty Skull. Okay, we should probably skedaddle. Yeah, where should we go then? Okay. I still haven't figured out how to use the Void system. The new one. But... Sure, when you get back. Yeah, because after that I have a point that I'm cooking about the iOS courts analogy fee. Oh, right. Buried treasure. Where's the captain's? Oh, an Ashton Captain's treasure map. Oh, okay, I see. It's just a menu option. I have never had that, before, like that. Okay, close. Cool. Okay, well, let's sail to location, obviously, because we have loot. Because I was worried that diving would kill the emergent gameplay, but it's fine, you know, to go to your first quest. Yeah, exactly. Right. Right, because they skip to the part where they get the stuff. Right. Yeah, that's fair. That is very fair. And I have seen more... Right, obviously it would break the gameplay. I didn't even think about that, though. I just, you know, I've just enjoyed the initial travel sometimes. Because it allows me to spin up my brain a bit, but hey. Of course, yeah. Right. I don't particularly care now that I'm used to it. Oh, wait, I had the map for the Ron Island. Oops. We must be on the... Okay, we must be... I'm heading to the southern spit then. I have the map for the Ron Island, everybody. You heard it here first on stream chat. Well... Epic fail, but you know what, well, now I can actually read the map. And can go to the rock and just do the thing. Well, that is actually very intuitive now. Thank you for explaining that. I appreciate you. Anyway, so... Oh, the big rock. Okay, got it. I think. Hey, well, if I take too long, then you'll come and help me, and that's fine. Oh, nailed it! Yeah, I love when I'm smart in this game. Anyway. So, like... The problem now is, as well, for Apple, that the iPhone is a general use device, and the Vision Pro is even more of a general use device. And it will be hard to convince anybody to, not have sideloading on Apple devices anymore. Because, like, with a game console, it kind of makes sense. Because of them being sold at a loss and having to make up the profit on games. On the other hand, they do have dev modes now, which is helpful. Or at least the Xbox does, because it's like, you know what? We'll make you a deal. You can have a sandbox to play wherever you want, and please do not hack our consoles. They also have, like, all these hypervisor layers that makes it really, really hard, if not impossible, to hack the Xbox One and later. But people don't care because they have the dev mode. Like, so Microsoft has taken care of that problem already because they were the masters of letting people have nerd modes. That's what my dad did for years, is he had MS-DOS and then he did the command line sometimes because he was an engineer. No, I mean, he still is, but like, an engineer in the 80s engineer. You know, when he was a young man. And now he's a product tester who is also still an engineer. But, you know, people like having modes where they can engineer stuff. Big surprise. People like to tinker. This also probably tries to obviate competition concerns if they get rid of discs. Because for a while, the only competition to the stores was discs. I mean, before, the discs were the only game in town, and, you know, there are still plenty of old games that are being preserved that way. But, well, when the digital stores started being more convenient, day one, download immediately, don't have to go to the store. It was as convincing as Netflix streaming. It just was. And I think physical games were doomed that moment. We just didn't know it yet, because we were still able to buy plenty of them, and many of them didn't require freaking online updates, or 2 discs, or whatever. Yeah, and you know what, like, oh, we gotta get back on the ship, is what my brain is telling me now. Oops. Well, the thing is that, like, most of these discs aren't going to be playable in, like, 20 years anyway, because most of the data is not on the disc anymore due to games being so enormous for no fucking reason. Ugh. Right, yeah. And some of these are just going to be written off. Right. We need them to last until we can have a backup option, because I will buy up a bunch of old discs that nobody's loving anymore and back them to shit up for game preservation reasons. Like, I could buy up a bunch of sports games for $20 if I wanted to, and back them up, just for archival's sake. Maybe that's what I should do in my retirement, is, like, back up a bunch of games and then have an offline gaming party place. Because I actually kind of had this idea, like, oh, what if there's an empty space in town and I just make a place where people can play games? For, like, paid study and tutoring stuff. Like, that they earn to play the games when they can. Like a safe place to do that. But, like, the offline backup stuff would be useful for that kind of thing, perhaps? And so much more. At least Avatar does have the option to have two discs. Because at least there's that. And at least, like, old hardware is still fairly accessible and easily preserved, for the most part right now. So, old games in their old form are still there, and backup console systems are kind of expensive. Like I was kind of interested in, say, what was it called? I don't even remember. No, not quite, but you're getting close. Console that ripped CDs for $400. Like, I floated that, the Polymega, with the cartridge retro modules and such. The problem was that $400 only got you one module, and you couldn't just... They were being careful about legality, because they were like, back up your physical games. I thought about getting it for Billy. He has an SNES and an N64, and I could help him back up his games and still play them years later on a modern system with compatibility for his old controllers. That's certainly a possibility. But, like, at the same time, like, yeah, it's just too expensive for most people at this point. Yep. And when iPhone goes and opens up its store, then that's what people will do. Apple cannot compete with that, but that cannot make much money. Obviously. Some of the biggest companies will certainly move their apps to third-party stores, but it'll be an Android situation where the option that's installed first is the one people use, because they just don't want to bother with switching to anything, and they're not like us. They're not like us. Oh boy. Yeah, that's what Apple's doing that's concerning me, is in the EU, they're trying some shit. Well, basically what they're doing is they're trying to see what they can get away with, and if the EU tells them no, then they'll just do it because they don't want to bother with regulators. They just want to appease regulators by just meeting their demands without a lawsuit, for the most part, except for when, like, Microsoft can literally just win on the merits in FTC because they focused on the wrong arguments. But now, people are being laid off, and the physical games division is shutting down, and people are not selling Xbox games because the thing is, now they're killing discs because they know they can easily win for the next generation with Xbox and Call of Duty. Because the digital store is where the... Well, maybe not win, like, but the thing is that the ceiling on win for physical console hardware has been reached at about 150 million. I think Microsoft would like to get 150 million next-gen Xboxes. And the pitch is easier for them, because they have gone obsessively in on AI. Even to the point of being like, oh, sorry, Taylor Swift, nothing we can do about the AI nudes of you. You could just shut down the AI tomorrow, or just be like, sorry, I can't... Well, the thing is, there are so many guardrails that are hard. Here's what I think the next generation of consoles will be. They'll be AI edge computing. Because, well, that's what everything is going to be, eventually. Your TV is going to have AI. Your fridge is going to have AI. When technology shifts happen and force you to make a choice, if you're the biggest AI company in the world, by virtue of your possibly shady investment in OpenAI, which is the market leader, it's like if Microsoft had invested in Netflix, they would be dominating right now, because early adopter plus leader, like, investing means usually winning combo in business. Not always, but it can be. And, so they're gonna make, at the next Xbox, the AI console. It talks to you, it recommends games for you, you can have your kid generate games that they play themselves with an AI. And you can play the latest cloud games that support like 100,000 people. Because they want to have some big cloud game that will be like, this was a cloud game built with AI. Get on board. Right. This is just my pie-in-the-sky predictions, but based on Microsoft's strategy with AI, what I know about AI, it won't be very, like, I don't know, it'll feel hollow, I think, if that happens. But the technology leap is happening in AI. It just is. I don't know if AI will be a thing that will stick around. But if the AI thing isn't a fad, and doesn't destroy the environment, which I am concerned about. I mean, and yet I still make AI images for fun for myself. Like when I used to have the wherewithal to draw maps by hand, though I still do. It's just fun. So I could see eventually if the technology gets powerful enough with low energy costs, perhaps because consoles don't like to be seen as environmentally greedy, even though they kind of are. And also are greedy about the silicon that they use. One way to save on the silicon could be just to have an AI do a bunch of things, if it's cheap enough to do so. And including, like, Kids Game Maker. I don't know. It could teach you... Apparently AI is good enough to teach you how to code. I wouldn't trust it, but I also am not inclined to code. No. But if we... But the next consoles are coming to 2028. If it gets smart enough, and it doesn't get destroyed in copyright lawsuits, and a bunch of ants, this could be where it goes. Like, NVIDIA just did the AI character teaser. They know it's not good, but it's a mission statement. It's just like the Apple Vision Pro in that way. It's a vision statement. And you know, I'm not sure if you do, but you probably know that Apple is working on some sort of updated Siri. If you're in, like, the know on technology and where it's going right now. Because they just bought an AI company. And once they put that into their Apple headsets and Siri, the people will like talking to the headsets and the phones and the TVs again. Because it'll sound good for people. That will be when the mass adoption tipping point is, I think, for AI. I hope by then we've solved the environmental concerns. But Apple is going to do this whether we like it or not. They need that kind of leap to... And they need a... They can't just invent a new physical product category every 10 years now, because technology moves too fast. And people are tired of buying an iPhone every year. They just are. For $1,000. Because, you know, oh, this phone is now slow and such. If the Vision Pro is going to be a category killer, it's going to be doing it with AI. I don't know what that says about the state of humanity at that point. Because we'll be talking to an AI instead of each other. Because this is a very solitary experience right now. And I have a bunch of technology. And I am trying to use it less. But I'm not most people. Most people who will be coming of age in the AI era are people who always interact with screens. There is an argument to be made that at least you're also looking at the real world. There is also an argument to be made that just having this on your face all the time could be really bad for your eyesight and a bunch of things. Or just the, overstimulation factor. I'm able to handle it fine because, well, I handled a few sedate iPad apps. But that's what they want to sell you. What could actually happen is, well, now all the iPads apps are in the kids' faces. Well, maybe not little kids, but, like, parents are going to be dumb. They're going to be tired. They're just going to give their kid the funny helmet that talks to them and leave them alone. Is that what ends humanity? Not AI taking over, but AI taking over people's time. Just like people being unable to be people because they're just talking to their headsets all night. Like, I know how to interact with technology, I think. I still use it a lot. But I use it in ways that are most of the time productive, and when I have fun, I know how to limit myself. Kids of Gen Alpha, though? That's what I'm worried about, right? Like, I don't know. This conversation got way off topic of video games, but, like, yeah, it's all very interesting and concerning to me. Like, I can see where the future is heading. And it has its benefits and more probably drawbacks. Because if Apple is allowed to gain even more dominance in the technology market, then they're going to try to dictate terms for as long as they can and collect their taxes. Because that's all they care about, is we have the mass market adoption. Now pay up. That's the main theme that I think anybody who watches this live stream should take away. Is that this is getting to the point where, like, because, like, the Verge writer, Nilay Patel? I'm probably getting that wrong. But anyway, I've had a lot of thoughts spinning through my mind about this thing. He said, why would, consider whether you really want to wear a computer on your face all day that can block you from taking screenshots of your content. That is in Apple's walled garden. Something like that. And, that will be on your face all the time. Like, it's really cool. For half an hour. Yeah. The first gen model is only for enthusiasts. Every time. No. It's just making things better and easier for a lot of people in the future sometime. I can see where the idea is. It is very glitchy. At least the demo software that I tried, and they really were being very secretive about what I could actually try on this thing. The displays were blurrier than I thought. They had more ghosting than I thought. The video was lower frame rate than I thought. They oversold this thing. To a few Apple nerds who will like it anyway. Because they understand that a first-gen product has flaws. And what they're doing is they're selling the idea to their young and impressionable audiences. So what Apple is hoping is that they'll do the work of selling the second-generation product for them. To the masses. Because the second-generation product is coming next year, and it will get rid of the stupid eyesight display, in my opinion. That'll probably save about $1,000. Because, like, it's all glass, an outer edge OLED, to try to look as good as possible, but they got low-quality glass, man. Probably it was just that the video was, you know, being filmed on my phone. I doubt that anybody could actually see my fake eyes. And why would they want to? The fake eyes are annoying. Like, people will tell me if they want me to interact with them. But, like, that might be going away, because people might not always be in your life now. And you need to distant connect with them, and this is going to be one of the ways to do it. Eventually. Because I think that something fundamental in humanity was broken by the pandemic. And that includes our relationship to technology. Because people came first, but most days in a week, I see nobody. Not a single soul. Like, I talk to people, I text them. But am I really interacting with them? Like, that's what the fundamental problem is for me now, is that I really like this thing. I can see how it can make my life better, because I know how to handle technology. And if, you know, I do laptop writing on a laptop. If I get a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, then I'm in business with this thing for a couple of hours on a train ride while listening to a podcast. That's probably what most people would use it for, and so that's what I would use it for. And if it had been $14.99, I would have impulse bought it. But it wasn't. It was $34.99. Specifically, I think, to deter people from being annoyed by the first-gen product being broken. I did not die, by the way. Because, again, it'll be only the enthusiasts who are like, oh, I'm gonna plonk down with the cash immediately. I saw maybe one or two being sold at a time. But since they only plan to make a limited amount of these anyway, they're just ginning up enthusiasm on the people who would be first adopters who would spend $3,500 for Apple products anyway. Like, the people who buy gigantic Mac computers and Mac Studio displays and whatever. Those are way more expensive. For those people, this thing will rock, I think, because it'll extend their experience. I think it'll eventually replace the iPad. And again, that's what worries me. From like a human interaction, civilizational survival standpoint. But I tend to think about these things a bit more technically, but also like historically, culturally, etc. than most people who are just like, can I have a fun game on my face? That's what I'm worried about. Is when too many people do that and don't know how to do it effectively. Like balancing real life time with screens. With screens. For school, that is terrible. We learned this the hard way during the pandemic. It simply does not work for that kind of thing. Kids were having bad test scores forever because of that. Well, we have only collected a limited amount of data, but it's worrying to have online learning only. Like, adults can handle being online more because we grew up in the real world, hopefully. Oh, it seems like, we are doing a rape... Oh. Well, I voted for a request. I was the one who voted for it. You didn't. Lol. It's a little confusing. But, like, I also grew up in the age of the physical interfaces. I still had to do something physical rather than just tapping. And at least Gen Alpha has to tap a piece of glass. What happens if it is super easy to tap the air and just have it do what you want? Is there any kind of, like, physical responsiveness? Are we turning into WALL-E as a civilization? That's what I worry about. Yeah, I mean, but the hopeful path... Okay, well, let me get... Yep, here we go. This is the exciting part, everybody, for those of you who are bored of existential dread. We're... Okay, yep. Okay. Good. Alright. Yeah, then it might have taken away my existential dread by focusing me on something else in the moment. But no, the good news is that if we use it responsibly, and we have standards and government regulation, then these things will actually be light for glasses, and they will only be used in certain ways in public, and people will hopefully not be dorks and record their kids' birthday parties with them. Because I can't imagine that technology glasses will get any less dorky, such like, oh, this person is really into technology, than for like 10 years at least. And by then they'll replace phones, and why not? Because the glasses will tell you where your map is on the ground. It will tell you where your timers are on the over your pots. It will solve a lot of problems better than a phone. That's the idea. That's why you do the AR. But the AR part isn't there yet. So for those people who are interested in using AR in their lives, I guess so, but it's floating windows. You're just gonna have to get used to its floating windows. It's either floating windows of iPad apps or floating windows of web. And there's a few 3D movies. Maybe like 100 on Apple TV Plus. I think something like 250 on Disney Plus, and maybe a couple hundred on the iTunes Store. Maybe. And maybe you do side-by-side side loading, because you can do file sharing. You have been able to for a while. But, like... if you don't like iPad stuff, if you don't do a lot of web browsing, if you don't do a lot of productivity using a laptop, if you just have an iPad, why not just have an iPad? Like, iPads are cheaper for most people. If it's just iPad stuff, but in the air, like, cool, but not $3,500 cool. And that's actually echoes the Apple Store people's sentiments. They said, pretty much most people have said, I like this, but I'm going to wait for a cheaper version. Like, they expected this. And so if they sell a couple of $3,500 ones to Techie McTeddy over there, then he'll tell his friends, and they'll tell their friends, and they're probably all techies, and they'll eventually get it. Like, that will be the critical mass of early adopters. But for most people, it'll be when there's games that they can't get anywhere else. Because games sell things. I mean, all the Steam Deck really does is play games on a portable device from a Linux store, but people like it. They like the easy option. They can do Windows if they want. But why would they? Like, for most people who buy the Steam Deck, they just want to be able to play Spider-Man on the go. And Valve has cracked the code of making that easy to do that, and effectively becoming the fourth player in the race without having to build a home console. Because they tried that with the Steam machines, and it was a disaster. How do you make a consoleized PC? Well, it turns out you make a handheld. Because that's a specific spec, and a lot of people are going to get it because they like handhelds, and there you go. There you go. Apple has tried to make the iPhone a gaming device many times before, but it hasn't worked. Because the limited profile of a phone means that the battery is limited, and then therefore means that the resolution is terrible. Like, Resident Evil is 240p. Resident Evil 4 is 240p. Leon looks like he has salt and pepper hair. Why would anybody buy this for $30? When they have a bunch of free games. Right. Not really. They're I'm gonna stream the demo for 30 minutes at some point, and then that's it. Like, because whenever the time limit for the demo is, I'm like, yeah, you know what? $30 mobile game, no thank you. Also, you broke the trust of the people who are, like, the classic iOS gamers by saying, actually, no, we're gonna take away your ability to play your old games. Please and thank you. No, go fuck yourself, Apple. I want to actually own my games. So as soon as sideloading happens, then I'll just play that way. Because I like that era of classic iOS gaming from Nova, which was completely dorky, but I loved it, to Modern Combat series also. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that saves a lot of time for sure. Though, if we're heading that way anyway, I'm gonna just fire myself out of a cannon. Because why not? That was moderately successful, because at least I got up the island. Okay, there we go. Like, back when iOS games took risks. Back when they were artful. I mean, I'm sure there are now, but it's hard to tell through the sea of Apple Arcade filler. I mean, Best Arcade Games is pretty good for that audience of people who just want to play games, but there's just something missing with the iPhone games now compared to before. Everything's too simple. Everything's too timer-read on most of these games. Oh, and a green statue, as if we didn't need enough distractions. Goodness gracious. Seriously, we are lucking out tonight. Anyway. Yeah. Would you bring a gunpowder barrel when you're done if I can't cut through this efficiently? It's a green, so I think I can, but it will test my skills. Oh! Oh, I got 3 of them. Because, of course, we're just showered in gold emissary now. Okay, well, come to my, gamer tag. Because I think we need to do, like, a relay race to efficiently bring these. Where I'm like, okay, and a 1, and placing it, like, a bit of a distance from there. And then a... I mean, yeah, that works too. But the problem is that I might not remember where that one is. So I'm just like, if I was to do this, okay, well, yeah, they do. Duh. I just was feeling so clever today. But like, it does because, well, now it's in sight of the ship, I think, or is it? Okay, well, these things don't come quite as easy to me, so anything that makes this easier for me at this moment is appreciated by me in life right now. I think I just figured out what my next open mic is going to be. A sense of ownership, perhaps, because in all the common thread, this has been about that, about the fact that the ownership is going away of things, of media in general. I mean, look at the physical movie market. It is on its last legs. There's still going to be 4K Blu-rays for the nerds like me, who really like picture quality and also want to own their movies, but they're going to be sold in fewer and fewer places for more and more money by limited amounts of people. That's just the inevitability of it all, which kind of sucks, because my sister and I grew up on VHSs and DVDs. The problem was people were too damn cheap to move on from DVD. Not saying that that's a bad thing, like, obviously save money where you can in an economy that was uncertain after 2008, and where there was an exhausting format war where people had to buy $500 a piece for 2 different HD DVD players, and they didn't know what movies were going to be available. So the studios killed physical by accident. Or, if you believe in conspiracy theories, Microsoft did so on purpose in order to win the, not have to make an HD DVD player for the Xbox 360 anymore, because it wasn't selling. They apparently just wanted to kill the physical everything. They are the physical media killers, and they are like, well, this plays Blu-rays, so leave us alone. My Xbox Series X plays Blu-rays. If that is the last console generation that has a disc, then, oh wow, we don't usually do this many quests or for this long. Yeah, we should do that. Yeah, absolutely. There we go. Oh, I'm dead! Wow. Thank you. Appreciate it. I should just eat my pineapple now. Let's just get the fuck out of here. You guys. Go away, please. Ugh. As I'm getting more tired, I'm being less censored. I usually have an audience of older teenagers and up who understand better humor than haha. She said dirty word. So I try not to, because I try to have an approachable image, but sometimes it's like, no, I'm tired. Go away, skeletons. Screw you. I'll do this one voyage, and then we'll get to grade 5, and then we'll sell it and be done with that. And that's good technology time for me, because that makes me feel like a pirate, and I like feeling like a pirate. So you know what? If I have to, then I'll pirate my media. And a beg. Are you kidding me? Should we do it? I want to fight the fucking Meg if you want to. That's like, yeah, I'm ready to go with a shark. I've learned something here, because like, oh no! Oh no! Oh no 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 no! Oh, I'm glad I'm getting all this on film. Oh, okay, yeah. Where are you, Sharky? Okay, that's just a random text message. Okay, thank you for joining the stream, S. I'm sorry, I haven't been very focused on the audience side of it because usually when I'm just talking to Kevin about video game things, everybody, then we talk about video game things. But I hope it's entertaining for you all. Anyway, it's because we're about to do some actual video gaming things now, again. Because the video game wants to be video game. And eventually, a video game must be video game. That is a perfectly reasonable thing to say right now. But, well... oh boy, well... Rolling cannonball... come on. Okay. Shot in the head there. Whew. So I guess, like, in the end, my experience with the Vision Pro has been more enlightening than, like, a consumer product being sold to me, but that's because I've built up some resistance to being sold on things. I'm like, you know what? No, I want to actually save my money, I want to afford a house. I can't be buying fancy technology all the time like I used to, or I'm gonna be, you know, broke, and nobody wants to be broke right now, so... yeah, people will hold off for a few months, because people's inflation budgets are tight right now. But, well, in a couple years, here's the good path, I think. Is again, people use this with outside in a way that makes sense and isn't creepy. AI either gets destroyed by copyright lawsuits or environmental concerns or what have you, or it evolves and is benevolent, or, you know, like, or is at least controllable by humans in ways that make sense, because I think people are pretty aware of how to try to prevent existential threats. We fixed the hole in the ozone layer. We're at least trying with climate change. It is certainly possible to save some of the planet. Some significant part of the planet if we act faster. So maybe AI will be destroyed by that wave, and the AI that companies are betting on to just do all their innovation for them, in order to endlessly keep selling us torture boxes, is going to be, or the torture nexus. Nailed him. Oh, that was quite the wave, everybody. Okay, well. I know, but we didn't fall because the Redemption is a tough old gal. I've been sailing with her since I got promoted to captain, everybody, in 2022. I believe. Someday had that sort of thing. But, there we go. I mean, obviously this is how you defeat the giant shark. But, like, I guess, like, we're pretty close to that. Okay, loading cannonball, and that's my biggest option as the kid. I got him! Oh! Oh, that was so close. No, but we did stop an attack. I mean, this is just how I've always fought the Megalodon. Shoot them in the face when they try to come at you. That's the biggest opportunity, and it seems like it does the biggest damage. Obviously, you want to keep doing damage so you get the fight. But now that's so much easier. See, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a matter of shooting them in the face a few times with some cannonballs, and then we're in business. And would you like to go out with... since you're the navigator, I will assign you to the map. I will get the canoe, and it, even though I just fell in the water. I can get back up and do it the old-fashioned way. So, well, that was satisfying. It just... Okay, well, detach rowboat, there we go. It's still very fiddly, that. It's dead. So, but it's still, but now it's sinking, yeah, okay. So we know where it is now. And we can get the loot, yes. Oh, yay. That's gonna be so awesome. Oh! Oh, this is the payday and a half. Oh, yeah, well, you know, I usually thought it was pretty easy to do this, but, you know what, hey, more's better, so. Oh, well, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, that does make sense. I understand completely putting risk and reward away for a while. Just to reward a player who feels like they did a good job and doesn't want to feel frustrated that they lost their progress. And when the items themselves are progress, that makes perfect sense. Especially for such a... Well, it's not a tough battle, but it... You know, for people who haven't played this game before, if they try to fight the giant shark and they lose, or they fight the giant shark and they collapse into the ocean, the loot, which would they prefer doing? You know? Like... So that's based on player feedback and preference, which is perfectly valid strategy. And absolutely necessary to keep games relevant. But, well... You know what? I'll remember the way Sea of Thieves used to be. But it was a little woolier, and I can handle that. But I also understand that it did keep the growth of the game flat for some time. As people were waiting for something to do that they could check off and then go to bed. Like, you know? Because we have time. I took time off of work so I could have a 3-day weekend. Like, for 1 day a week. And also to play with the future of technology. But I'm also going to be happy to give them my report on it. Because, like, I'm gonna be very careful also and be like, I will give you the 5-minute version of this, because this live stream has been a way for me to really digest my thoughts on out there, and maybe make, like, a more condensed video for people who really want to know the state of things. Both the evolution of the Apple Vision Pro category line, which is going to be a thing, again, whether we like it or not. Can you leave me alone, mermaids, please? Well, it's okay. I'm just picking up the Megalodon. Leave me alone. Okay, well, we still have loot, so I should just get in the boat and use the cannon. If I still have cannonballs, but they might also be in the... No, get in. Get in the rowboat. Get in the rowboat. Oh my goodness, that was so close. Oh, it's empty! And he got me! Oh, what is life right now? Ah, it's okay. I'll just respawn and swim back up. Yeah, I'm just gonna offer my soul to the ferryman. It's ridiculously easy. Hope, and you know what? If they sink this... Yeah, why don't you grab that? Because they're attacking it now. And that would be very bad to lose the rowboat only for efficiency reasons. I mean, if it... Well, you can just keep floating it up to the surface forever, so... No, that's not as big as a deal. Oh, that reminds me. I did want to talk to you. I played a little bit of Spec Ops The Line because I bought it before the shutdown. It is a terrible game. At least, a terrible game. But it's like, I'm a terrible game, and you are terrible for liking shooting people. I mean, I don't mind those sorts of stories. Especially in video games. But I'm kind of just over Grimdark at this point. Because, like, the world is hard, everything is terrible already. I don't need to be reminded by video games. You literally wipe phosphorus people. That is a war crime. Yeah. No, that's true, but it's a... I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing that it's doing that. It's just that because I make it kind of like my side thing to actually research how war works, I don't need video games telling me about how war works. I just want them to be fun video games. Because video games trying to be serious all the time, it kind of wrecks the medium and turns everything into a third-person action-adventure game with dad themes. I mean, it's... No, that's true. Yeah, I personally am staying away from things that are not... that are very grim. Like The Last of Us Part 2, for example. Well, yeah... Right, that's the problem. I mean, that's true, but I think that the problem is that, that my brain is a bit different, and so I don't like being repeatedly slammed into the wall by, a game that's like, you're a terrible person for playing the game the way you want it. And I'm just like, well, I just want to play the game. I'll understand that you're doing the bad thing, but can you make the gameplay not terrible? I'm sorry, the actual gameplay of Spec Ops: The Line is not great. Well, the gameplay is always, I mean, it's not the biggest thing for me in the world. If a game has customization, oh my god. So many freaking sirens and a shark. This game will not let us go. They are turning Megalodons into an event. Holy... Goodness gracious. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. And wrapping up my talk here. But like, I mean, I'm sure there'll be a time that I'm ready for darker themed games. It's not that I don't like that sort of thing. It's just that there's so much of it right now in the real world that I kind of want escapism in my entertainment. And right, it's all very understandable. I understand why the artistic direction is going in there, because games can and do offer nuanced takes. The Last of Us 2 was not it, though. From what I understand of the story. But why didn't you finish it? What's the reason? The thing is, I'm not into brutal revenge for revenge's sake anymore. I used to be really into revenge stories. Now I'm not. It's just, I see that too much in the real world right now, so personally for me, I'm out when it comes to Last of Us. Well, the problem is that everything in media has a different reading for queer people. And seeing as this is one of the major queer relationships in the world right now, and I've been told by sources that I trust that are analyzing the queer themes, basically, these are just anger lesbians. Like, essentially, it's just a trope being done by white men. That is the queer analysis. Is it entirely comprehensive? Is it ever going to prevent me from playing the game? I wanted to play the game to see it for myself, because that's the kind of media person and consumer that I am. I want to see things for myself. but I tried to buy the game on disc, and then the seller canceled, and then it was like, well, it's just a bunch of new deleted things, and so I guess I could have still gotten a disc and then upgraded for $10. But how much longer is that going to be an option for anyway, and will it work anymore? And just the other issues that I have with PS5, just like, again, one game at a time. You have to load it always. I mean, it's fast. Don't get me wrong, but it's not quick resume fast. My brain moves at the speed of 6 games in quick resume. Anyway, but like, so it was more that prevented me from doing that. When they have it like when they have like a PC port, and I want to get like, or a Mac port even, maybe they'll do that because they can do it, and do it on the M2 and do it on the headset that I can wear. Maybe that's when I play The Last of Us, and then I'll be like a little bit less traumatized by everything on the news right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to root for fictional apocalypses to destroy the world, but a real apocalypse to destroy the world. At least to me. Completely valid if people want to play that sort of thing. Well, you're much more... Yeah. You're much more divorced as well from the fact that, apparently the dominant analysis right now is that it's basically the Israel-Palestine conflict, and that makes me scared to play this game, because I don't want to be criticized as anti-Palestinian, because that's a social death sentence right now for a lot of people. And I think I can tread a middle line by analyzing the conflict from historical perspectives, but it takes a lot of effort, and it's exhausting emotionally. So why would I want to play an analogy to that? That's the problem is that that kind of analysis poisons people from exploring media for themselves, and that's what makes me a little bit worried too. But like, you also haven't been bullied by people online for what you like, or for the, oh well, it's a girl character. I've stayed off of the comments of all of that, but just even by looking at Kotaku in action for Oppo research, solely, completely just to understand the thought processes of people who were fundamentally opposed to my existence being plastered in media, according to them. And also co-opting legitimate points sometimes, such as taking legitimate criticisms of the Star Wars movies and just ripping and just injecting them full of toxic anti-feminism. So you are, my friend, are lucky to be not overly online, is basically what I'm saying. This kind of thing is... Yeah, but, okay, so the problem is that comments and the upvoting incentives on Reddit and like incentives on other social media encourage people to do things that are liked rather than are truthful. And so, it's not that the takes aren't that are criticizing Last of Us 2 and say, don't play it if you don't like these themes, are wrong. Absolutely not. Neither, but the problem is that the worst ones win out by equivocating or by bullying the people who have the alternative viewpoint. And that makes it difficult to enjoy games, especially with dark themes that tend to attract a more mature audience of, let's just say, like, mid-30s to 40s people who use Reddit too much. I mean, I sometimes feel ashamed to be on Reddit, but I try to stick to the nice corners of Reddit, like world building, where I posted a map and a constitution, and a bunch of constitution nerds upvoted it. You know, like, you can still find your own corners of the internet. It's just that, in video games, this has been touched by the culture more. And, you know, as a trans person, I don't want to have stuff that's anti-trans, either. I don't think the game is Last of Us Part 2, but there's so many things that, or like, the person turns out to be anti-trans, and not only are you feeling like a terrible person for supporting a person like that, if that is a big deal to you, which it is for a lot of trans people for obvious reasons, including me, because I'm trans, at the same time, I just want to enjoy video games sometimes. And I wanted to enjoy the Harry Potter video game. It just turned out to be a mediocre video game, so at least I dropped it because of that. Do I feel a little bit of guilt for purchasing it? Yes, but I did donate equivalently to a trans organization. And you would think that there would be different options than option 1 or option 2 when it comes to anything. But it seems like the world is moving into... You have 2 choices into a bunch of different things. And the problem is, if one of the choices wins out over the other the other second choice, in a violent way, let's say, which is totally a possibility in 2025 for a bunch of reasons that I can't even get into now because we're about to sell our stuff. But, like, I am very concerned about a dictatorship in this country taking over in 2025. I do not say that with any level of glee, or like, I'm right because I'm a history nerd. But inflation, lack of job opportunity, lack of wanting to serve in the military, demonization and politicization of the military, overextension of the military, involvement of the military in too many things, which was predicted by a white paper in 1992. Like, they're gonna have the National Guard is probably gonna have to get involved in freaking border enforcement because Texas is being idiotic about it. And apparently wants to have a civil war. Fine, let them. Say the National Guard, go bye-bye, and then Abbott, you're under arrest for sedition. That's the only way I see that ending, but it could trigger other things, and so, like, we have to be careful as a society at the moment. But, like, you know, people are getting involved in a bunch of overly online disputes. It doesn't mean that those disputes shouldn't be had, it's just that the amount of time that people are spending on intellectual debates that are too balkanized to gain large audiences and are in small audiences online means that the thing that has the most opinion is the thing that is only 40% of the population. So, you know, like, I should probably just buy whatever games I want, you know, and not bother with it. I should want to go to a Universal's Epic Universe. Did you see the trailer for that? That looks incredible. But well, let's hope that there's a sane government. Did you know they are preventing people from changing their driver's licenses in Florida? They are literally pig-starving trans people, and it is driving me insane because there has to be something that can be done about this, but, well, Florida doesn't want to behave. They just want to ignore federal everything. This is literally what led to the Civil War. Even if Trump doesn't become president and try to install a dictatorship that way, he may still try to send a militia to destroy this country. I do not say that lightly, because that happened already. It just failed. A failed coup can predict another coup. That is how coups happen. They just pile up on top of each other. And currently, we are not doing enough to enforce against the January 6ers. They are domestic terrorists who rebelled against the government, and they need to be put in jail. But the candidate for one of the major political parties says that he wants to pardon these people who went in the Capitol and murdered Capitol police officers. This is literally treason. And he's abetting it by using the pardon power in ways that the Founding Fathers never predicted. Because they were very naive about human nature. And everybody in the 1800s wore wigs and owned slaves, so they didn't care about black people. And they were fine with that. Apparently this nation was more stable, according to them. If they could look at us, it's like, well, you have too many black people. Which is a bad thing, obviously. But they were bad people, and you know, who made a decently fit-out government for the 1800s. And we kept expanding it as much as we could, but there are limits right now that are breaking. The House is currently governed by 2 votes. 2. And that means that all the Republicans have to stick together, and they're prioritizing sticking together instead of getting any actual work done. So my worry is that nothing will get done in the House. I mean, there are certain things that are getting done, like a child tax credit and an expansion of credit for businesses. But we have a gigantic national debt. And if we ever actually do shut down the government for stupid reasons, that the entire world economy could be at risk. And Trump is hoping that a crash happens in the next 12 months. So he doesn't have to be Herbert Hoover. Because he views everything in crass political terms, and this would catapult him to the presidency, and then he would use the powers of the presidency to weaken the Congress by ignoring them, getting around them, not doing their subpoenas. This is literally how dictatorships form. All the time when that happens. In democratic societies, they get democratically elected, and then they sideline the democratic institutions. Napoleon did it back in 1799. Hitler did that in 1934 because he still had to pretend like he wanted to work in the democratic system until the Reichstag fire happened. The President Paul von Hindenburg signed the Reichstag Acts in response, and then promptly died. Because he was old. That's a problem. Old leadership that refuses to change for various reasons collapses. That is what people should know about, like, leadership, especially in the fast-moving modern world. We need to replace our old leadership with our young leadership quickly. Like, after Biden is done, we need to put in, as term limited out, because we like Biden. Please, I know he hasn't done a good record. This is more to address to my audience. I don't really care what you do, but I think I know what you're gonna do. Because, like, it is a very dangerous world out there, and people don't want a dictatorship, so they'll send Trump packing again. I hope. Because the guy has 91 crimes. Eventually, one of them will land him in jail. Right? Please? And running him from jail would probably still be a problem for him. I hope. But probably more of a problem is the fact that he doesn't actually have billions of dollars. He has like $400 million, and he has like massive judgments against him to get him to stop. So he might just run out of money and then quit. Or he could get that hamburger from heaven that people have been hoping for. I doubt it. I mean, he's apparently he's got such dementia that he's proud of being able to identify a whale. Like, I don't want to root for dementia, because I have a grandfather with dementia, as you know. But he is a grandfather with dementia. Just early. You know what, like, he's gonna be so confused by the time they actually get him in jail. I'm hoping he just goes to live in private care in Mar-a-Lago at that point, because his brain will have collapsed from how much plaque it has from all the fatty food that he eats, with no exercise and a bunch of stress due to all these cases against him. But even if he manages to get elected, it won't matter that he has dementia, because we will just manipulate him, says the Heritage Foundation. Is that everything? Is that really everything? Oh, yeah, right, for the emissary. Duh. Okay, so I wasn't taking any valuable time from us. Alright, well, because you were finding it for me, I haven't been on this island a lot, because, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Okay, then. Well. Okay, well. Oh, right, the emissary flag, duh. But yeah, it's an interesting world. It's gonna be an interesting world in the late 2020s. I hope it's not too interesting, especially for trans people like me, but hopefully there will be good video games. I mean, it seems like there are now. But I am dreading playing Suicide Squad still. Anyway, you have a good one. It was good to have you on this show, and it seems like people enjoyed it. So, yep, I'll probably promote it now that I know what the... I'll probably promote it more now that I know the format was, which is just whatever we want to talk about. Well, you have a good one, bud. I will catch you when, do you think? Because I'm wide open. I see. Okay, you know what? Monday works for me, because Monday is usually pretty low-key for me. And I'll have made sure that I got my chores done by Monday, so I'll have plenty of time in that evening. Wednesday could work, because I might need a relaxing break afterwards, and, you know, like, Monday maybe I'll be like, okay, well, I've got this creative thing I want to do. Which is probably what I'll do. Yeah. Well, you have a good one. Alright. Bye.